they're going to get you. And it was a mental game. So because when we got too old to get the whipping, the mental game's already set in. So he switched up with us.
Yeah.
Even when you get older, but the mental game was mean. So even when you got older, you was like, yo, don't try that. I know you're getting a little older. Your voice getting a little, but you don't want to catch one of those because it may be a little different now. You're a little bigger. So you don't want none of that. So the mental game, his mental game, you put his fight night on us, and we be like, well, nah, we don't want none of that. We're going to come in on time. We ain't going to act up.
Okay.
So I think that's where it changes us, yeah.
Okay, interesting. And I want to talk about that most definitely. How, there are other ways, and it sounds like we're, talking about ways to intimidate our children or, put the fear, in them so that they, control their behavior in that sense. And if, as a parent, you got to kind of look at your goal. If your goal is to, quote, train your child and intimidate them into, not doing things that you don't want them to do, then, yeah, a physical violence always works, and I hate to call corporal punishment physical violence, but it is, or, or the mental, intimidation works, or, just instilling fear, which is, so I think as parents sometimes we have to think, am I actually teaching my child, or am I just hoping to scare my child into not doing this particular behavior? I'm going to stop here right now. Got two announcements. We've got Leslie Ann Brown with us. We've got Lab. Yay!
Hey, yay. Hello.
And we also have a caller. I think it's the same caller. We're going to try to get this person again. Okay. Hi, you're on Inspirit Talk Radio. Hello? All righty then. Very odd. Okay. All righty.
Maybe they getting their ass beat.
I'm going to turn them off.
All righty then. Okay. So we're going to move on to Leslie Ann Brown. We're going to actually hear more about Leslie Ann Brown, or Lab as I affectionately call her. We're going to hear more about her in the future because, she's such a wonderful, wonderful writer. And, her writings really just talk about the coming of age, of her life, but it represents the coming of age of so many of us. I'm digressing. I'm going to shut up now. Lab, what say you about corporal punishment?
Well, I came in late, so but I got the tail end of what you were saying, and I have to say that I'm really in agreement with a lot of what you said in terms of what I heard about violence and control. And I definitely think it's a pretty violent way to teach. It's violent, period. So, and whether we're talking physically or psychologically or spiritually, I mean, it is a pretty violent act, I think, to hit your child.
Okay.
To hit anyone. But I think there is a particular degree of violation that takes place when an adult who's supposed to take care and nurture a child actually sends a signal that's counter to that.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Well,
applause.
I really did not think of that. For me, I remember when my nephews lived with us briefly, and I had experiences with seeing loved ones go astray. And my nephews were young boys, and they had experienced a lot in their short lives. And for me, I kind of felt it was my duty to keep them on the straight and narrow.
Right.
Now, mind you, now I was in my 20s, and I didn't really know much. The only thing I knew was I got my ass beat. That's what it takes. That's good parenting.
Now it's time for me to do it.
Right. And that's what I did. And I thought that I was helping my nephews and saving them and keeping them from a fate that I didn't want them to have. And I was reacting out of fear.
Right.
And what I remember about all of it is I remember it being a very ugly business. When you're, when you're hitting someone, it's an ugly business. And, if you look at it, it is fear. It may be a righteous fear. You don't want your child to wind up doing something wrong. You don't want your child to, quote, suffer. But when you think about, the psychological impact of it, where you're in your house, where you are supposed to be protected, and your caregivers, use violence as a means to control you and control your behavior, what I usually see happening is that it doesn't really control your behavior. It just controls what you do when you're around them.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
We have a lot of black children, particularly black males, who live those double lives. I think maybe where we're talking about this before, where, when they're at home, it's like, yes, mama, I love you, mama, yes, ma'am, yes, sir, whatever. And then when they're out on the street, they're doing all sorts of things. And I see this all the time, with my, I've been teaching for a long time, and I know a lot of parents come in, and their child is struggling with the penal system. They've been arrested several times, or they're on probation. They're kind of in and out of school, and the mother is struggling. Most of the time it's the mom, and she's struggling to understand because she sees her baby, but she doesn't realize her baby is putting guns to people's head, head, when he's not around. So, and she whooped him, So my thing is with black people, I gotta say black because I'm black and I grew up around black people, and we tend to use this as a something to be proud of. Is that we don't take no stuff. Our kids are very well behaved and disciplined, but
they in check.
Yeah, right. Well, that child in check. I saw that child running around, and I just slapped the hell out of it. Blah blah blah. But we lose our kids very early. We lose our kids to the streets. Our kids are very angry and violent, and they don't.
It's really sorry.
No. So my thing is, what's going on? Are we missing something?
Yeah, the education. I mean, that's my question. Where's the education in that system of discipline when it's your default, when it's the first thing that you go to when the child is out of line? It's the same thing. You feel offended.
I think,
Go ahead.
I'm just thinking that we need to envision another way, because I have to say, personally, I really have a lot of compassion for people who hit their children, and I definitely don't agree with it. But having
anybody hear me?
Hi.
Yes.
Oh, okay. My bad. Sorry. Go ahead.
Look, I got you, girl. I got you.
Okay.
Go ahead. I'm listening.
No, Lab, you were speaking.
Okay, so I was just so I just really feel that we have to. There is I actually spoke to my friend about it earlier, and I asked her if she was. She grew up in South Africa, and a black woman, and I asked her if she was hit when she was growing up, and she told me yes. And I asked her, I said, did you hit your kids, whatever? And then she told me, she's like, well, actually, I did once. And it felt so wrong that I couldn't do it again. And then she said what I realized was that it's stress. That I realized immediately that the reason why I had hit my child was because I couldn't figure out a better way. I was under a lot of stress. And when I realized that, when I experienced that in my body, I was just like, okay, then there has to be a better way. So my point is that I think, having a lot of compassion for the person who's frustrated and who's not feeling like there are any options is actually just envisioning that there actually could be a different way of solving that conflict.
Okay, interesting. We've got a caller.
Once the caller goes, I gotta respond.
Okay, no, Brother Mike, do your thing. Caller, please remain patient. Thank you.
No, let the caller go ahead in, because I know people be patiently waiting. So let them go ahead, and I'll jump in right afterwards.
Sweet. That's why he's called Brother Mike, y'all.
Yeah.
Hi, welcome to Inspirit Talk Radio. You're on the air.
Good night, 10th, 11th guy. And give your starters a break. Josh Howard was 6
Hello.
As he has that little shot at the other end.
Okay, I hear a television. I hear conversation.
And
It must be still on hold.
We're hanging out.
Hey.